Hey,
Wow, look how cute they look.
look at babies! Hey, hello!
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. I've been keeping track of the Cinnabon white net fallout because it's going mainstream and this is becoming a trend where the white supremacists gather around an individual, no matter how abhorrent she is, and support her because they just want to lay all their bigotry out in the open. So this one here is a pretty tense piece of propaganda. It says, start to resist or cease to exist. So, if you're not familiar, a schizophrenic career criminal shanked a Ukrainian refugee who, when you look at her history, she supported BLM. And she was just coming home from work, and then she got shanked on the bus, and no one stepped in to help her. And it was a really sad news story, and I really feel quite bad for her because it's a tough way to go on a bus floor, and you can just see part of American society where they were so desensitized to where it took a while for some people to step in, and I do believe it was a black guy who ended up helping her and trying to stop the bleeding. It's a really sad story. And so, by contrasting on the left this helpless girl with one who's more antagonistic, they're highlighting how they want to be less passive and more aggressive. And I've been seeing it spammed all over X. And I think it's pretty sad how these two are being compared. One is a mentally ill black guy, and he's the aggressor. But this lady who... she's in the hospitality industry, and I've worked as a telemarketer, I've been a barista, I've been a server, I've been a bartender. I have worked with people who are very difficult. And some of the things that have been said to me have been really horrible. And I still have to maintain composure. I have to have patience, and I'm not going to lose my job because there's a rude customer. And people who have been in service industry, hospitality industry for a long time, you get thick skin, and you're not supposed to crash out. You're supposed to be trained well enough and be so seasoned that, an unruly customer doesn't fluster you, doesn't get you all ramped up. And the way that this lady behaved is reprehensible, and she's not fit to work in the service industry. Quite frankly, she should stick to a job that doesn't require, human-to-human interaction if she's that easily frazzled. As of right now, she's got 20K, alright? And last time I checked, it was 30K, so it's strange how they are fundraising for her, like they did with that lady Shiloh, the lady who really looked like a junkie, all tatted up, has the meth bones, and called the N-word to somebody because their kid was, a kid was stealing. Bad scenario, but you don't need to use a racial slur towards a kid. You can just use a regular word to get the point across. But they've started crowdsourcing their money towards this woman. Imagine if they sponsored a Christian scholar girl, or sponsored somebody who was doing good in the community. It really says a lot that the Christian Maga and then the Republicans, the white nationalists, decide to support people who can't be professional. She was not able to handle a difficult customer. Now, the thing is, we don't have evidence of what happened before. And the thing that is peculiar is, even if the customers were being difficult, her response is unacceptable. Okay, any job would have fired you if you would have acted like this, regardless of it being filmed or not. Your coworker sees it. Clearly, this lady was working alone at the Cinnabon, which most of those are in malls, and most malls are closing down, from my understanding, and they're being renovated into apartment buildings and whatnot. malls are not really that popular anymore as they were in the early 2000s, but she was just not doing her job well, okay? When you work with people, you have to be a people person. It's like if a nurse can't handle unruly patients and she ends up beating them, striking them, cursing at them, she has to be let go. Because that job is a service job and you're going to deal with unruly people. And so this woman needs a lot more training. Now this has been shared, and in America, if you're unfamiliar, you can search up certain people's criminal records, and apparently she was a drug addict who did criminal negligence towards her children and endangered them. So a lot of people are surprised how when her criminal record is brought up, the Christian nationalists say, that's okay, she's still a based wifey, and we have to support our own. Very strange. So the Somalians were just doing their job and being a customer, essentially, which is a customer's job. You just go there, order something. Maybe there was some snarkiness that we didn't see, but her response is unacceptable. And she apparently also insulted the woman's hijab. Unnecessary. And the way she did the suck it move with her hands, like the WWE wrestler stuff, it shows you that she's kind of stuck in the 90s. But reprehensible, regardless. So Cinnabon released a statement saying, we've seen the disturbing video from the Cinnabon bakery in Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin, and we do not condone this behavior. The former employee was immediately terminated by the franchise owner. Their actions do not reflect our values or the welcoming experience every guest deserves. So, it's good she was let go. You have to maintain professionalism, and maybe she'll learn from this experience. She got pretty much a fat paycheck so far, between 20 and 30K. I am pretty sure by the end of the week it's going to rise. But that doesn't mean that the next time she does it, it's going to work out for her. And others have pointed out that this is going to become a new grift where people will fake scenarios now so that they can get a payout from the white supremacists, sort of gaming the system, which is pretty funny. So someone could easily just have their friend show up and then do a whole skit, like an inside little job, and then milk the white nats for all their cash. And, pretty much, if you think about it, when someone as reprehensible as a racial supremacist gets scammed, can you really feel that bad for them? And then here, one of the users under the Cinnabon comment wrote, imagine firing one of your own people in order to cater to foreign invaders. You deserve to go out of business. And then, what's disturbing is that this person thinks that this type of conduct, this type of behavior is acceptable in a place of business. Businesses are supposed to have this sort of hospitable and charming aspect as they serve their customers. Service with a smile, right? And yes, service industry can drag you down, but you just can't unload all your emotions onto a customer because they gave you a little bit of a hassle. And we don't have the beginning video to justify this type of response that the lady did. And this militaristic language of invaders is pretty disturbing. You can see the right-wing bigotry in this phrase. So, firing one of your own people. So, they're basically saying she's white, so she shouldn't be fired. So they're looking at not the content of her character, but the color of her skin. I don't know any restaurant or business that would keep someone who has that low level of self-control and can't control her mouth and her impulses. And he knows nothing about those people who came to buy the Cinnabon. He doesn't know if they're illegal, legal, but he just automatically labels them as invaders. And they want to boycott this business for firing an unruly employee. And then he writes on the bottom, businesses should cater to white Americans. You know, the people who actually built this damn country. That's the kind of society we need. And then he says, thank you for displaying why females should have no voting rights or any say in how things go. Okay, so women shouldn't have voting rights, but then he's supporting a female worker having an emotional meltdown and berating a customer. Isn't that rich? Now, he's so stupid, and he's a Christian. Look at that cross in the bio. A Christian is saying that businesses should cater to white people. So, money is green. And when it comes to an economy, you need to make money from every race, not just white people. Money is green. It's not black, yellow, white. It's green. And it gets passed around. And it needs to flow. Okay? And it's absurd to think that a company should have a racial litmus test where they should only cater to a certain segment of the population. I mean, the fact that these Christians in America are just letting it all hang out is depraved. And he thinks we need a society where businesses cater to people because of the skin shade. Absurd. I went and checked this woman's profile. She's a Christian. Christ is my king. And then you see her actual behavior. And then concerning the Cinnabon lady, she writes, I'm on her side regardless. I'll never take a dirty Somalian side over a white American, but I'm curious what happened prior to. So the racial element. Where in the Bible does it say you should only like whites? And what does it even mean to be white? Think about it. Is an Englishman synonymous with somebody from France or Germany or Poland or Hungary? No. And there's a lot of people in Spain who look white. So this is pretty bizarre how many Christians use these racial slurs. So imagine a Somalian who's Christian, she's calling them dirty. Her own fellows in faith, she's calling them dirty because of the color of their skin. And she wants to take the unprofessional Cinnabon Karen side simply because she is white. When it comes to the Republican Maga Christian crowd, they're so blinded by their own depravity that they can't see how rotted they really are. And then this user writes, as for me, Cinnabon will never see another penny of my white money. And then he proceeds to insult Somalians. And this user, Larry, he's also quite racial. And you notice how they're all saying, oh, we'll follow you. So they're trying to build this coalition of white supremacy. And it's so strange how they're taking the side of this woman's poor behavior simply because she's white. If they owned a business, they would see that they need their workers to have a higher threshold of tolerance. And I've never seen them justify when a black woman is berating a customer. You ever notice that? When it's a black woman behind the cashier or a Latina and they're having a spaz out, you see them say, oh, don't chimp out, don't chimp out. But then when a white person does it, they condone it and call it based and wife material. And then this user is popular. He's also sharing her their ability to give her money. Now this account 0 Hour is a very strange account. He's apparently been doxxed before, and he just is really quite cringe. I think cosplaying and LARPing a character at a certain point. But he writes here that people have had it with black foreigners. So no matter what you do, they're always picking on a group, whether it's from India, China, Mexico, the white supremacist Republican Christians. They can never stop finding someone to hate. Okay? And he writes, listen to the accent. These people come here and just try to take over and be rude. He's just making things up about the context. They see a employee being deranged, and they're like, oh, well, clearly, these people who came to buy a Cinnabon are trying to take over America. And, again, he's not condemning her for her actions. He's not saying, you know what? Oh, okay, think of it this way. How many times do you see a white liberal woman be shamed for her bad meltdowns on TikTok? You see it a lot, right? Oh, she's unhinged, liberal tears, they can't control themselves, women are unhinged. But then when a woman like her is saying something racial and being unhinged, they support it. And it's not clear yet how this woman voted. We don't know if she's liberal, we don't know if she's a neocon, we don't know what she is, but they're supporting her and assuming that she's going to be one of them. And so that's what I find quite strange. When liberal women have meltdowns, it's not accepted. And they see it as unhinged. But then when this chick does it, they're calling her based in wife material. They're not consistent in their ethics for women. And then this user, he's like, patriots, another hero has emerged. How is she a hero? So, it's just shocking that this amount of people think that this type of behavior is normal, it's good. When you say something is heroic, you're saying that type of behavior should be spread. So, expect it in kind then. Is it okay if another race berates white customers? How would they feel? They wouldn't like it. Well, if you don't want that to be normalized for everyone, then you shouldn't condone it for yourself. Okay? I can't think of any manager that would have kept me if I had acted like this woman. It's just unacceptable. It's rookie behavior. And it's methy behavior, quite honestly. She should be able to let it roll off her sleeves, like water on a duck's feathers when it comes to anything unruly, which we still don't have the evidence for. So, it's not patriotic to be bad at your job. Point blank, period. And she's bad at her job. And apparently, she's got a mixed racial family. And I've seen people started to call her slurs like mud shark, coal burner, burn the coal, pay the toll. So, it's interesting. This woman has mixed race kids and her family, mixed race, right? She's a drug user. She has a criminal record. And she's been criminally negligent towards her children. And Maga is calling her a hero because she had an emotional meltdown and was unable to maintain composure. She was not capable of being professional in the face of a minor inconvenience. So that's how low Maga is, and that's who they call their champion. Pretty bizarre.